bit of a late start tonight, but let's see if we can wrap up this case. Just gonna jump right into it. I suspected Miss Sykes of the murder of Clay Tarrant. My growing suspicions were confirmed when this incriminating evidence presented itself. In addition, she's the only one who could have utilized the launchpad switch to escape. That is why I wish to indict Miss Sykes on the charge of murder. Order in the court. Mr. Justice, you realize you are charging your own co-worker with murder, don't you? Yes, Your Honor, because that is the conclusion my investigation has led me to. But, Apollo, why? How could you suspect me too? Mr. Wright, your cross-examination, please. I don't get it. Just what did you find out over the past few days to make you think this? It's definitely a strange turn of events. Wasn't expecting this to happen.
Hold it!
What first made you suspicious of Miss Sykes? I'll start when Miss Sykes and I were investigating the crime scene. When she saw the weapon that killed Mr. Tarrant, my bracelet reacted. Said she'd never seen the knife before, but my bracelet told me otherwise. And then every time after that, the bracelet would react when she talked about the case. Poor Apollo must have been beside himself during that investigation. I didn't know what to do or think. I couldn't even sleep. In that condition, I knew I wouldn't be any good in court. So I decided to wear an eye patch so I wouldn't be able to perceive any of her tells. Ah. That's why Apollo is acting so strangely. The reason Miss Sykes unconsciously reacted to the knife that way is because she stabbed her mother's murderer with one identical to it 7 years ago.
Objection!
That knife was also the murder weapon that was used to kill Clay Tarrant. My bracelet could have also reacted to her because she knew she was his killer, too. I guess he has a point. My bracelet wasn't the only reason I became suspicious of her. Right, this is the rough one. Because it somehow has her fingerprints on it.
Hold it!
Found in the Space Museum with her finger. Yeah. Even if it seems decisive, there must be other facts we don't know about it yet. If that's so, go ahead and prove it then. Look, honestly, I don't want to believe it's true either. But Miss Sykes was the only one who was in the Space Museum at the time of the murder. But Mr. Justice, Miss Sykes had absolutely no motive to kill Mr. Tarrant.
Objection!
7 years ago, Miss Sykes lived at the Cosmos Space Center. Wouldn't be strange if she had some kind of connection to him. Besides, people sometimes kill for motives we can't even imagine. I know you've seen plenty of cases like that in your own career, Mr. Wright. I still can't believe this. How can you actually suspect Athena, Apollo? In addition, she's the only one who could have utilized the launchpad switch to escape.
Hold it!
Is it possible that somebody else could use that same escape route? I'm afraid not, Mr. Wright. Why not? Recall there's a security camera in boarding lounge 1 aimed at the launchpad door. Boarding lounge 1. The launchpad door. It's the camera that captured Mr. Tarrant and Mr. Starbuck. There's also another security camera in boarding lounge 2. Recorded Mr. Tarrant's killer, or rather, Miss Sykes, coming out of the Space Museum. Camera in boarding lounge 2? First I've heard of it, but it makes sense. Athena said she had snuck into the Space Museum the night before the incident, and then was overcome and passed out until around noon the next day. So until about noon the next day, I didn't even know about the explosions. I woke up, nobody was around, so I just went out into boarding lounge 2. It must have been when the camera captured her, and that's what made Apollo suspect her even more. But wait a minute. In that case, it most likely recorded the true culprit as well.
Objection!
That's a negative on that one too, Mr. Wright. In the footage taken after the incident, Ms. Sykes is the only one who appears. Huh. Order in the court. It can't be, but if it is, then it is incredibly incriminating. Isn't it you who proved in the previous trial that the way the true culprit escaped was via the Space Museum after the pads had been switched? The fact you previously proved turned on its ear, leaving your client high and dry. I must say, that is vintage Phoenix Wright. That is why I wish to indict Miss Sykes on the charge of murder. Believing in your client to the end is a basic principle of good defense. Shouldn't you extend that same principle to your own coworker? You're probably right. Maybe I'm not even fit to be a lawyer. I mean, you also have to understand, Apollo has a history of having problematic coworkers. However, I don't care. This case is special to me. Yeah, it's also his best friend. Oh, man. That's why I just have to know the truth. Apollo suspected his trusted coworker of killing his friend. To dispel his doubts, he investigated on his own, but that only led to more doubts. Apollo must have been really struggling with this. Well, Apollo may have doubts, but I'll say it again. Athena Sykes isn't the murderer. And I have only one thing to say. Evidence is everything in court. Well, Mr. Wright, think you have the concrete proof to knock down my arguments? Your arguments have been very clear, Mr. Justice. Your facts appear to be indisputable. Well, Mr. Wright, what do you think of my theory? Looks like not even you can deny it. Miss Sykes was the only one who used the only possible escape route. Under these circumstances, there can be no other suspect but the defendant. Unless you think there was an alternative escape route. Is that what you think, Mr. Wright? Is that what you think, Mr. Wright? Is that what you think, Phoenix? Was there an alternative escape route? This is where, unfortunately, a lot of this information was stuff I don't remember that well. Maybe I should have gone back and watched the previous trials again. So there was an explosion in Launch Pad 1. There was also an explosion on the second floor. The staff of Phantom's handling incident 7 years ago. Of the Hat 1 and important items related to space exploration and the Hat 1 expedition are on display. The Space Museum is open to the public every day of the year from 9 to 7 p.m. Except it wasn't open that day. The crime scene 7 years ago, launched into space and only returned to Earth a few days ago. But it wasn't taken during the crime, or the murder. It was apparently blown up later? So I'm not sure if that's important. All this information is from several years ago. I don't know that it's helpful. Director Cosmos Storybook Intern authorized. Backup power, print recognition attempts were recorded via security camera. Starfish prints were found on the scanner screen after incident. Athena's prints on the victim's blood. Robotics lab was used to evacuate Space Center personnel. Found in breaker module when detonating corporate forward fragments are being analyzed. I mean, I know there's a thing here. I don't know how to use it yet, so I don't think it's going to be in play yet. The evacuation after the Space Center after bombing. No, because the evacuation... I was going to say maybe they could have escaped in the evacuation if they had, like, somehow disguised themselves. Because the ladder, the 4th floor robotics lab... Huh. Maybe the evacuation route? Okay. So that's the one thing I can think of, is the evacuation route via the ladder. Of course it must have been. Just don't ask me what. You're just bluffing again, aren't you? Me? Bluff? No way! He knows me too well. It's fine, Mr. Wright. Even a bluff would suit me just fine. As long as you can clear up this doubt inside me. Wait, so is that what this is all about? I want to believe in Athena. I really do. But what is faith without doubt? That's why I need to question her guilt. So that once the truth finally comes out, I can really fully trust her. So that you can really trust me? Seems your junior partner has just showed us what trials are truly all about. I believe you're right. The prosecutors painstakingly question every detail in pursuit of the defendant, while we lawyers believe in and defend our clients to the end. When both sides go out against each other, that's when we discover the truth. Precisely. When the battle is over, we will understand the true meaning of trust. That's exactly what trials are about, wouldn't you agree? Yes, I couldn't ignore the seed of doubt that was growing inside me, so I decided I need to face it head on. No matter what the truth is that's waiting ahead, I won't be afraid. So like Apollo, always uber earnest about things like this. Mr. Justice, I vow to dispel every last bit of doubt in your heart. Good, because I want to believe in Miss Sykes again. You're really hoping there was an alternative route, aren't you, Apollo? If I use the process of elimination, there really aren't that many possibilities. Director Cosmos was at the southern exit, leaving only the control room and the corridor to the Space Museum. Which door could the culprit escape through? Come on, Mr. Wright, where do you think the culprit escaped to? Here we go. Director Cosmos, Starbuck and Terran are authorized to equip with backup power for recognition attempts to record via security cameras. Starbuck's first from the scanner screen after the instant. Okay, it's not. I don't think it's that one. I want to say it's this door. I remember there's an issue with that door, but I think it was something that was. I'm gonna have to just go with it. I think there was an issue, but I doubt anybody could have escaped that way. But can you really say with certainty that it isn't possible? Yes, I believe I can. I guess you're right. What are you doing? This is serious, Mr. Wright. Please be serious, Mr. Wright. Alright, well... Oh man. Fingerprints on the lighter and the escape route, huh? Paula knows how it operates, so I can't use my usual tactics on it. Looks like the only thing I do here is press it for more information.
Hold it! Objection!
Okay.
Hold it! Objection! Hold it!
I think I just have to press everything.
Objection! Hold it!
It would be kind of wild if the correct answer is no way and you're actually supposed to do something else to progress the trial. You're supposed to find out some other means. And this was all like, there's no way to get past this point. But I'm pretty sure this is the correct answer. But if it's not that door... Because I remember there was like... There's only so many people that can verify that door, I think. But I was thinking maybe the culprit used one of them to gain access. Like Starbuck while he was unconscious or something like that. But apparently that's not the case. They didn't escape the corridor, and they didn't escape through this door. I mean, the other option is this here. Escape that way. Oh. Can you just... I thought maybe they used the, maybe they somehow got out through the garbage chute. Only the control room and the corridor of the Space Museum. I mean, the other option is... Oh... Wasn't there... Did we find, like, a leaf or something in one of these hallways?
Take that!
They really could have escaped the corridor to the Space Museum. All they had to do was use the unconscious Mr. Starbuck's prince to get to the door. Okay, so they did use his prince to get through that door. It appears that all you're trying to establish is Miss Sykes' guild. If Culver used that route, the only exit would have been into boarding lounge 2. The logical conclusion of your argument is the killer is none other than the defendant. Not quite. I knew it. That's the only way it could be, huh? The culprit escaped in the corridor that leads to the Space Museum. Then I guess it's true. The only exit would be into boarding lounge 2. What if... Okay, so the corridor has to retract when it spins around. What if they just stayed in the corridor, and then when it retracts, they could have just, like... They had, like, a rope or something they could have gotten down to ground level from there. I was just thinking because there was that leaf that we found at one point, which would have been tracked in from outside somehow. Like, that was the one piece of evidence that I was thinking of. Miss Sykes was the only person captured by the boarding lounge 2 security camera. Investigate the crime scene thoroughly. The only place the culprit could have escaped to was the Space Museum corridor. There weren't any other secret corridors or anything, so that leaves us with no other conclusion to draw but that Athena Sykes was the culprit. Could the answer be, was there really no other escape route? But, hold on a second, what if... Where did those mysterious leaves we saw in the corridor come from? Yeah. What if they're a clue to the culprit's real escape route? I think it is possible the culprit escaped into the Space Museum, but then came out using a route other than into boarding lounge 2. Launchpad 1 and the Space Museum were switched after the bombing, meaning the Space Museum corridor was moving along the rail at the time. Yeah, like... In that middle section, there's really nothing that could have stopped... I mean, it's really just open to the world. It's exactly when an alternative escape... Yeah, route opened up for our culprit. You kidding me? Huh. Judging by the intense look in your eyes, I take it you're serious. Very well then, Mr. Wright. Do tell. Where could the culprit have gone from the museum corridor besides boarding lounge 2? Like, here? Found something odd while investigating the museum corridor this afternoon, namely, a few dead leaves on the floor. Considering where dead leaves come from, they point us to exactly where the culprit escaped to. Yes, I remember seeing some leaves myself. Ah, do you mean... Yep. While the Space Museum was in motion, just beyond the corridor's safety door, was an alternative place the culprit could use to escape. In other words, the culprit's real escape route was... area outside the Space Center. You're freaking insane! I don't know. It's definitely possible. You know how impossible it would be? The corridor is level with the 3rd floor. I mean, 3rd floor is going to be what? If the culprit tried to leap to the outside wall of the Space Center building, it would fall to their death. I mean... floors are what, 10 feet? So that's basically a 20-foot drop? I don't know. If you hung off the bottom, that would cut it by another 5 feet. At that point, it's basically just a 15-foot drop to the ground. That would be difficult. You might bang your knees up a bit, but I'm not even sure you would break a leg in that situation if you rolled out of it correctly. And especially if you know, all you'd really need to do, if you knew you were going to plan this out in advance, just have some kind of cushioning at the spot where you're coming out. Like an inconspicuous couple of pillows or something would probably make it easier. I don't know if pillows would be the best thing, but like some kind of, yeah. Yeah, this is definitely feasible.
Objection!
Nearly, yes. But after the bombing incident, the culprit could make use of a certain item. Hmm? What item was it exactly, Mr. Wright? Alright, this is what the culprit used to leap to the outside wall of the main building. The emergency ladder. Wait. Hold on. I guess that depends on where the robotics lab was on the 4th floor. I don't know where on the 4th floor it was. Let's see. This doesn't say. That'd have to be it.
Take that!
Emergency ladder. There's an emergency ladder in the 4th floor robotics lab. It was used that day after the explosions to help evacuate people. Ms. Blackwell herself used that ladder to escape down to ground level. I guess the question is... Hold on a second. If it went by that window... if that window was at the top... Yeah, if the window's on the north side, and the corridor's going to rotate around, and depending on how quickly the corridor retracts, you might not even have to make a huge... That might not even be that far of a jump. If the corridor is still... I would think the corridor would probably retract all the way first. But depending on the window's placement, it could be close enough. It's possible. I'd have to really nail down the... Also, I just realized there's like... Is her hair held placed in the back with the pin that looks like a giant screw? That's kind of funny. I don't really have to see the blueprints of it to know how feasible it was, but this is possible. Okay. All launch pads were switched after the ladder was lowered. Order would have passed by the ladder while the pads were being switched. And that's when the culprit literally sprang into action. Leapt onto the ladder. Who would have imagined? We're in court. Well, an alternative escape route seems to have emerged. Which means someone other than Miss Sykes could have been the culprit, right?
Objection!
Making things up on the fly in an attempt to sway the court again, are we, Mr. Wright? Your theory has so many holes, it puts Swiss cheese to shame. Alright, then. Name one. I have here detailed information about the Space Center. According to this, the distance between the museum corridor and the main building during movement is... a full 20 feet. Yeah, that is a little bit far. In addition, the corridor is 3 floors from the ground, or roughly... Oh. Okay. I was thinking, like, a floor would be about 10 feet, and it... because you could hang from the bottom, you could... If you hung from the bottom of the corridor before jumping down, you could cut that to, like, 15. But if the floors are 25 feet each, then... Although that's a lot for one floor, isn't it? Maybe the first couple of floors are like big atrium style things. What's more, the culprit would be leaping to a precarious place. An unstable ladder, yeah. Human beings feel fear in dangerous situations. It's a basic survival instinct. An ordinary person would certainly hesitate before jumping. Or even freeze in fear and not jump at all. But what if it was someone whose emotions rarely fluctuate and doesn't experience feelings like normal people do?
Objection!
The culprit had just murdered someone. They weren't in an ordinary state of mind.
Objection!
Nevertheless, why would they have taken that kind of risk? They could have waited for the switch to be complete and escaped to boarding lounge 2.
Objection!
Yeah, but the security camera would have picked them up. The culprit knew they would be recorded if they left the Space Museum that
Objection!
way. In that case, the culprit could have hidden in the museum until things settled down, and then blended in with the other people after the museum was opened. It's a good point. Would you claim that, despite all this, the culprit took a 20-foot death-defying leap, all in the brief moment the corridor and ladder passed by each other? That's also a good point. They would have needed a running start while the corridor is moving to make that jump. If their timing was off, or if they couldn't jump far enough, it would have been instant death. The kind of person would attempt something like that. Not bringing up good points, Edgeworth. This true culprit of yours is nothing but a figment of your imagination. Why do you always have to point out every flaw? I mean, Phoenix, you did ask for this. Mr. Edgeworth's right, that does sound pretty insane. The culprit would have to be someone who feels no fear, like a stuntman. But everyone feels fear on some level, right? Wait a minute. I've got it this time. I can prove that there's someone who could have used this alternate escape route. Oh, can you now? This proves the possibility of a person who could have used this. Yeah. So that's what we're going with. I mean, he still could have put like a mattress or something out. Like, just put it off to the side where people don't notice. Although, 50 feet, that still would be kind of rough. But yeah, it seems like this is probably the better argument at this point. This is a certain person's very interesting psych profile. Subject doesn't experience feelings like normal people do. In other words, this person doesn't feel happiness, sadness, or fear. Doesn't feel fear? Right. You can't be serious. Without the constraint of fear, he could easily do what an ordinary person wouldn't dare. Just as you or I could do a broad jump on the ground without the slightest fear. This subject could make a 20-foot leap, 50 feet up in the air. He'd choose this extreme way of escaping without hesitation. And, I mean, here's the thing. I don't know if it's in the record here, but didn't director Cosmo say that, like, oh, he didn't think it was... I mean, wasn't he thinking there was a saboteur here? And if it's the same guy involved 7 years ago, that would also be that guy? So saying that to a person without fear, the alternative route would be quicker and eliminate the chance that they'd be spotted. It's definitely pretty extreme, Mr. Wright. Was there such a person there at the scene? Yes, the Phantom, that mysterious shadowy figure who keeps popping up. Oh dear. Again? I knew the Phantom was there behind the scenes of the Space Center bombing, but I wasn't sure if he was connected to the murder of Clay Terran as well. However, now it's all clear. The Phantom is the one who not only bombed the Space Center, but also killed Mr. Terran. I mean, it's crazy, but it does fit. The difficulty is Who the hell is this guy? What did I say? Mr. Wright, please continue. There were just too many similarities between this case and the one from 7 years ago. But why, you may ask? It can only be because both incidents were the work of the same Phantom. So then this Phantom is the one who killed Clay. But who is he? Yeah, that's the problem. Phantom has been haunting this case, pulling the strings in the background. Who could this unidentified international spy be? Right, this escape route must have been a part of the Phantom's plan from the start, as was tricking Director Cosmos into switching the launch pads. The bomb on the second floor was meant to make the elevators and stairs unusable. That's why he gave advance warning and planted the bombs where he did. Yeah, that would fit. I think you're right. But it doesn't explain this one last thing. I lowered my emergency ladder like the detective leading the evacuation told me to. But it's such a pain. Why couldn't they have used the ladders in the other rooms? Robotics Lab wasn't the only room with an emergency ladder. But he couldn't have made that leap unless he was certain which one it would be. So you mean... the Phantom must be someone who knew that particular ladder was going to be used. So... it would have to be someone working at the Space Center? I mean, it's either that or... That's right. Could be. Who would have... Okay, is anything about the... anything about the fourth floor robotics lab? It was used to evacuate Space Center personnel. Okay, that would have to be... Okay, who we got here? I mean, not the victim, obviously. He wouldn't have known. He's passed out. Hold on a minute. Led the evacuation effort at the Space Center. I mean, it wasn't her. She's dead. Probably not him. Emotions rarely fluctuate. He doesn't experience feelings like normal. But I mean, he has some... He's like, always like, justice, blah, 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 blah. Like, But he's always like that. No, he's not always like that. He has other emotions. I don't think this fit. So I lowered my emergency ladder, like the detective leading the evacuation told me to. This Blackwell lowered the ladder after being told to by the detective leading the event. It is not looking good. Did you figure it out right? Do you know who the Phantom is? Who is it? Who killed Clay? And he was also... Wasn't he also the one that found found the lighter with Athena's fingerprint. Oh man. Oh man. The explosions. A member of the staff crossed paths with a certain detective. He was on duty on the 4th floor. It was quite the madhouse, I tell you. As for the detective who was leading the evacuation from the 4th floor, he had a very specific objective in mind. So I lowered my emergency ladder like the detective leading the evacuation, who's also the detective who's also the one who's been hanging out with Blackquill for several years. His objective was to secure his own escape route. Once everyone else got out safely, I made my way down too and headed to the shelter. This is a detective you all know. He's even the lead detective on the current case. Appears to be a very emotional man, but his psychic profile says he is without emotion. Has he been... Are you saying... You mean the Phantom is Detective Bobby Fulbright? Exactly. We were all taken in by his fake persona. Detective Fulbright's real identity is the Phantom. We're in the court. Mr. Wright, how could this be? It's easy, Your Honor. Detective Fulbright was leading the 4th floor evacuation effort. Our first clue is that he made no attempt to have any other ladder put to use. The ladder in the robotics lab is the only one he ordered to be lowered. Second is that he directed everybody to the basement shelter via this ladder. Verily, it was all part of his plan to create an escape route. After Detective Fulbright saw to it the ladder was lowered from the robotics lab, he went to the lounge where he killed Clay Terran and escaped into the Space Museum. The museum started moving slowly, so he waited for the right time, got a running start. And just as the corridor was passing the ladder, he leapt onto it. I don't believe it. An addle-pated detective did all that? It's really him? I mean, all this time I thought... Like, he's been working on several other cases. Oh, detective who defends our good citizens. Yeah, like... What? It's injustice we trust. Then his concern for Simon is also all just one big act? This would reform Prosecutor Blackquill and make him a valued member of society again. You know, it is kind of weird that he would say that for somebody who's going to be executed. I didn't really think about that. I can't just sit by and watch him give in to his emotions and tear the defendant apart. That monster killed Clay? He had me completely fooled. Come to think of it, he's the one who brought that bloodstained lighter to court. Yeah. The scumbag even made me turn on Athena. Damn it, how the hell did I fall for all that? For him to have wormed his way into the police department as well. Your Honor, the defense demands to question Detective Bobby Fulbright. Yes, I agree that we need to hear from him right away. The court will take a short recess, and then Detective Fulbright will take the stand. I mean, if it turns out he was also one of the staff that was involved in the bombing that was, you know, part of the security 7 years ago, then that pretty much clinches it. Thank you so much, Mr. Wright. If it wasn't for everything you did, don't thank me yet. We still have an uphill battle to fight. You got it, boss. Apollo. Ugh. Oh, this is awkward. Athena, can you do me a favor? Huh? What is it? Could you punch me, please? What? Why should I do that? Because I should have believed in you. Let the seed of doubt inside me get the best of me. I'm really sorry that I didn't trust... Ouch! Don't be such a dope. I was really touched by what you did. Huh? Now what are you talking about? I believe in Athena, I really do. What is faith without doubt? That's why I need to question her guilt. So that once the truth finally comes out, I can really fully trust her. You took the time and effort to genuinely think about who I am and what I'm made of. After all that, how could I punch a true friend like you, Apollo? You didn't have any trouble slapping him a second ago. Well, that was the... Sometimes you gotta slap someone to get them out of their funk. Thanks, Athena. Thanks for waking me up to reality again. I guess I now know who to call, or I guess I know now who to call if I ever get sleepy in court. Looks like you have some promising young people working under you. Edgeworth. Yeah, I think they're pretty great myself. And they're not afraid to keep me in line. Anyway, some very good news. Our Blackquill has surrendered and the hostages have been set free. Trucy and all the others. Oh, thank goodness. Miss Blackquill said she had something she really needed to do. So I granted her special permission to do what she must. I wonder what it is. Miss Blackquill? I didn't come to apologize, if that's what you're thinking. My actions are what allowed the truth of what happened 7 years ago to come to light. But I did come because I had something to say to all of you. Miss Aura, she better not be here to complain about something. Miss Blackquill, I want to apologize to you. The fact that you couldn't trust the court system is our fault. Ha ha ha! Yes, it's true the courts are filled with incompetent idiots. Still, suppose I could let you handle the rest of this case for me. Oh, Miss Aura, does this mean you're starting to trust the system again? No, of course not. You quiet hunk of junk. It's just, I wouldn't mind if you were the ones who took Metis' killer down. Leave it to us. We'll get him. So I guess that means she's starting to trust us, at least. Aura. Simon. I'm so glad both of you and the princess were cleared of all suspicion. It's all thanks to me and my robots. You better be grateful. I never imagined you would go that far. But you always were extreme. I don't recall ever requesting your help. As closed as ever, I see. Well, now that you've been released, I guess it's my turn to go live in the slammer. I just hope you're not the prosecutor for my trial. Probably give me the death penalty. You know me all too well. I guess love can take on a variety of expressions, including stunted in their case. I truly was about to be executed tomorrow. Though, because of you, it looks like I won't be crossing the Styx just yet. You have my heartfelt thanks, Aura. I'm sorry I caused you so much anguish. Simon. Aww. So glad, Simon. So very glad to hear you say that. Aura. Alright, that's enough of that. Bailiff, take me to the detention center. What Miss Blackwell did was inexcusable, but it's clear she did it out of love for her brother. I still can't wrap my mind around Detective Fulbright being the Phantom. I can't believe he killed Clay. Right, and murdered my mentor, which brought great distress upon little Athena. Chief Prosecutor. Yes? I would ask a favor. Would you allow me to stand at the prosecutor's bench for this trial? I wish to claim the Phantom's head by my own hand. That was my plan all along. After all, it's highly unconventional for a man of my position to stand in court. Alright, Edgeworth. Sir. The formal paperwork has yet to be filed, but you are hereby conditionally released. Please take the prosecutor's bench in your official capacity, and uncover the truth by your own hand. I'm much obliged. The day to part with these has come at last. Chief Prosecutor, could you? How long have I waited? Maybe it's the sense of freedom, but even the air seems fresher, the light brighter. I will relish slashing that blackguard Fulbright to shreds without mercy. I don't have to be able to read his heart to see how happy he is. I'm so glad, but I won't cry just yet. After all, we still got a trial to finish. It's okay to cry, Athena, I promise. Prosecutor Blackwell, Mr. Wright, please avenge Clay's death for me. What are you talking about, Apollo? You're coming to the defense's bench with me. I am? Well, I can't expect Athena to assist me, now can I? She's the defendant. That leaves you, Apollo. But, are you sure you want me? I took a leave of absence and everything. Well, our office is pretty short-handed, and you're all I've got. Thank you, Mr. Wright. Apollo. Athena, I can say it with all my heart now. I believe in your complete innocence, and now we're going to prove it to the world. Thank you, Apollo. I know you can do it. Team's back together.
Won't be needing that eye patch anymore, right? Right, because I'm fine now.
I mean, he did look pretty cool with the jacket. But this is also good. Now this is the Apollo I know. Welcome back, Apollo. It's almost time for the trial to restart, though it looks like you have things well in hand. Yep, I should head back to the prosecutor's office. But why? I want to look into a few things. Namely, the first people on the scene 7 years ago, the facial data registered by the robot, and Detective Fulbright's background. Sounds great, Edgeworth. Thanks. I expect to be repaid with a victory, right? Now, if you'll excuse me. Okay, you two all set to go? You bet I am. Let's do this. This is it, the final battle. The murder of Apollo's friend. The courtroom bombing incident. And the case that ushered in the dark age of the law 7 years ago. Destiny has called us to bring the one responsible for it all to justice today. Justice. Let's now reconvene. The defense is ready, Your Honor. The prosecution has never been more ready. You know, this is the first time we've been at the defense bench together since I debuted. Now that you mention it, although back then I thought you were more loud than you were reliable. You've really come a long way since then, Apollo. You've grown a lot. Well, there have been some hiccups, but I guess I've done pretty well. He's still got that ego of his, though. Prosecutor Blackwell, with the 7-year mistake now resolved, you can finally take your rightful place. Oh, yes, I guess we can keep the chit-chat for later. Bailiff, please bring in the witness immediately. Even with those handcuffs off, Prosecutor Blackwell seems to be pretty much the same. 7 years of grumpiness doesn't go away so easily, I guess. I'm surprised this guy is even around after hearing all this. Bobby Fulbright here. Heard I was needed on the stand, so here I am. Detective Fulbright, do you know why you have been called to give testimony? Yep, because there is only one reason why I'd be called. And that is because it's time for justice. In justice we trust. He is remarkably unfazed.
Objection!
You can't fool us with that act anymore. Your justice is nothing but lies. What? Are you questioning the integrity of my sense of justice? I mean, sure, sometimes I make mistakes, but hey... He's acting exactly the same as always. Tell me about it. He must be feeling awfully confident. Even his music isn't changed. Fulbright, if you wish to dispel our suspicions, then let's get to your testimony. Alright, fine. You want me to prove my righteousness? I can certainly do that. Ha 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 ha! I am the very embodiment of justice itself. I won't have you make me into a villain with your far-fetched arguments. And this bit about the escape route is only a theory. You don't have any proof. What we do have is proof that Athena Sykes is the culprit. This lighter with her prints on it. You know... You're saying the suspicions against you are completely false, and the defendant is the real culprit. Stabbed the Phantom's hand during the incident 7. Was it his right hand? Because I'm noticing, you know, I always thought it was kind of a, because, you know, the whole thing with the anime crosshatch, usually when people are angry, the little X part appears on their forehead and not their hand. I always thought that was just kind of a, like, silly thing, but now I'm starting to wonder. Mr. Lawyer's escape route is totally circumstantial. Doesn't have any proof that I made a big leap onto a ladder. You don't have proof. You were correct about that. However, you don't have any proof for your claim either. Yeah, I guess you're right. But you can't define justice with evidence. Who can define it anyway? Justice just is.
Objection!
Don't make me break out a dictionary on you. Yeah, please don't throw the book at me. Tell me the Phantom didn't just make me set up a stupid pun for him. Let's just try not to lose focus, alright? My justice is crystal clear. What's not clear are your eyes. Wake up and smell the justice.
Silence!
Enough of your rubbish, Fulbright. If you have even an ounce of justice, then you will answer the court's questions and prove it. Prosecutor Blackwell? Prosecutor Blackwell looks torn. Well, Fulbright was his partner, after all. Prosecutor Blackwell is right. The truth will be revealed in the cross-examination. Suspicions against Detective Fulbright are, at this point, only suspicions. As is my duty, I will judge the claims against the detective as impartially as I can. Does anyone have any objections? That's fine, Your Honor. Haha, now ask away and don't hold back. Well, there don't appear to be any objections. Very well, Mr. Wright. Please begin your cross-examination.
Hold it!
Embodiment of justice? Those are just empty words. They say if you keep saying something, it can eventually become the truth. Isn't that how people make their dreams come true too? By wishing over and over? I mean, he has a point. Let's just move on. Have you make me into a villain with your far-fetched arguments?
Hold it!
My arguments are hardly far-fetched. There's careful reasoning behind my theory. Yes, well, apparently there's reasoning behind even a tofu burger. What we have against Miss Sykes, though, is not just reasoning, but solid evidence. And it's called the lighter, with Miss Sykes' fingerprints on it in the victim's blood. Yes, that's true, but wait. Detective Fulbright was the one who brought that evidence to the trial. If you harbor any suspicions, I suggest you ask Fulbright, right, Dono? Especially about that lighter. He's right. What exactly should I ask about? So how many prints were found exactly? 3. The thumb, the index finger, and the middle finger of her right hand. Of course, immediately I'm going to look at my right hand, thumb, index, and middle finger. Yeah, that's really all you need. Remember, that's an important statement. Can we please have it added to my testimony? You got it. He beat me to it. Be it investigating or testifying, speed is the key. Prints from the lighter, the thumb, index, and the middle finger of her right hand. Fingers of her right hand. Oh! Wait a minute. I forgot about this statement. Oh ho ho! Ho 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 ho!
Hold it!
Wait, I didn't mean to press that. I was going to present. 3 prints from her right hand were found in the lighter, huh? Are you certain of this? I'd stake my life on it. Mr. Wright, isn't it odd he's saying the prints are from Athena's right hand? Why did you say that? Well, think about it for... Yeah. Athena always wears that... Ooh, there is also that glove on her right hand, right? So no way she'd leave prints of those 3 fingers from her right hand. Hey, great point. Why didn't I catch that one? Detective Fulbright, I'm sure you heard our discussion just now about how Miss Sykes always wears a glove on her right hand. Well, I've only one thing to say to that. Do you have evidence that she was wearing that glove at the time of the incident? Yeah, that's... I guess we don't. If you want to prove the defendant innocent, you'll have to ask better questions than that. A lecture from you, Smiles McGoo. That's a great name for him. Oh boy. Should I try asking him about something else? I'm just curious about the prince position. What about the position of the prints in the lighter? They're around the same spot on either side, as they would be if you were holding it up. I suppose if it was used to light the room, it would be held that way. I believe this is important. Please swap this stick. No. Prints were placed just the way they would be if someone were holding it lit. Yeah, it's the other one.
Hold it!
Blackwell did mention she saw a lit lighter being held up. Yep, meaning the person Miss Blackwell saw was the owner of the fingerprints. Just strengthens the argument. Yeah, it's not a question he's going to get me anywhere except conviction land. Alright, switch back to the other one.
Objection!
You say the prints were from a right hand, is that correct? That's right, very clear prints. But that just doesn't add up. Huh? What doesn't add up? According to Miss Blackwell, who saw the culprit herself, this person held the lighter in their left hand. Oh? So here's the dilemma before us. Why are the prints in the lighter from a right hand instead of a left? Yeah. You're right. It doesn't make sense, does it? Your Honor, this lighter can hardly be called incriminating evidence. The witness's claims don't even hold water. Detective Fulbright, I hope you have a good explanation for this. I just can't understand it. They're definitely right-hand prints. But then, why are they inconsistent with Miss Blackwell's statement? I've got it! What have you got, Detective? The mirror! The witness must have seen a reflection of the culprit in the mirror. Go on. Miss Blackwell was looking in through the window of Boarding Lounge 1, wasn't she? I believe so. So, if you mean the little window in the back to the right of the room, that's right. And across the room on the opposite wall, it's a large mirror. I do remember seeing it. So you're saying, yes, the culprit Mrs. Blackwell saw must have been a reflection of that person in the mirror. I see. In that case, right and left would appear reversed, wouldn't they? Ha ha ha! Now do you see? That's the logic of pure justice.
Objection!
But your argument is only conjecture. You don't have any proof that what Miss Blackwell saw was a reflection. You don't have any proof that it doesn't either. Right, Dono. You'd sooner nick yourself than him like that. Put some more muscle into it. Huh? Haha, that's right. Besides, the lighter couldn't have been in the left hand. Why not? Miss Blackwell said she saw an Earth emblem on the lighter, didn't she? That emblem is only on one side of the lighter. Right, there's no emblem on the other side. Exactly, as blank and smooth as the judge's fine scalp. If the culprit had held the lighter in their left hand, they would have covered the emblem. Uh-oh. What's more, this is the kind of lighter you flick open with your thumb before lighting. So if the culprit had held it in their left hand with the emblem out and visible, they wouldn't have been able to open it, let alone light it. But if they held it in their right hand, they could easily open it and light it. This all means that the culprit was definitely holding the lighter in their right hand. Come back, my beautiful contradiction! Appears you've planted a flower that bears no fruit. Ha ha ha! See how it withers before my flower of justice. He's tough. He's managed to discredit almost everything I've proven up to this point. In justice we trust. Now do you see? I'm not this phantom you've been talking about. I mean, are you sure there really is a spy? I bet they're just a figment of your imagination. Oh, it's so sad. It's so very sad. But I'm afraid Miss Sykes is the culprit.
Hold it!
Detective Fulbright, I believe you said that the emblem is only on one side of the lighter. Are you sure about that? Of course I'm sure. Why don't you take a look for yourself and see? Do you see an Earth emblem on both sides of the lighter? I knew it. You're lying, Detective. Pardon me? You mean... Yes, my bracelet reacted to a statement about the emblem. He's definitely hiding something big. And I think if we use my talent, we might be able to figure it out. Justice Dono, are you to use that cheat of yours again? I'm not cheating, Prosecutor Blackwell. Very well. Whether I like it or not, I suppose we should use whatever works right now. Go on, then. We have Prosecutor Blackwell's reluctant blessing, apparently. Okay, Apollo, you're up. Here goes, then. Detective Fulbright, could you repeat that last statement one more time? What in the world are you up to? Alright, fine. I'll say it as many times as you like. Listen carefully. The Earth emblem is only on the side that you can see when held in the right hand. I have an idea. Huh. I thought for sure it would be his right hand. Not his left hand either.
Gotcha!
Huh. Detective Fulbright, you might not be aware of it yourself, but whenever you say the phrase the Earth emblem, your left thumb moves. In fact, it appears as though you're running it along the edge of your holster. Mr. Lawyer, I don't have the foggiest notion of what you're talking about. Be it as it may, I know it has something to do with the lighter. Let me examine it. But why? You're not making any sense. You can't just...
Silence!
Be still and do as you're told, Fulbright. If you have nothing to hide, you shouldn't mind them having a look-see, should you? What? Not you too, Prosecutor Blackwell. I'm not sure what this is all about, but if Prosecutor Blackwell insists, it must be something important. I will allow the defense to examine the lighter. I mean, why not? Didn't he say that they could look at it? Good, now maybe we'll learn something new. I hope so. Now let's check every inch of this thing. I mean, okay. Ugh, the back is covered with blood. Say, do you notice anything funny about this bloodstain? You're right, it suddenly breaks off unnaturally. Supposedly, the lighter was held with the right hand so the emblem was visible. If so, the print should be around the emblem and on the lid where you open it. You're right, there's definitely something off here. Don't see anything unusual about the top of the lid. Detective Fulbright's words were definitely hiding something. Let's look for something that has to do with what he said. So this is the Earth emblem Detective Fulbright was talking about. See anything noteworthy? Huh? Hey, look at this. The emblem's actually some kind of button. It's a gun? Transformed into something. A handle, a trigger. Is this what I think it... Wait a minute. The thing that shoots 10 caliber bullets. There's no question, it seems. What you have there is a gun. A what? The thing that shoots tiny bullets. Little tiny bullets. Gun, so that's it. Your Honor, please recall this morning's trial when Director Cosmos was on the stand. The bullet that hit the oxygen tank was extremely small, maybe a 10 caliber. This little compact gun probably takes bullets of that caliber. Looks like this is the gun that was fired at the scene. I'm flabbergasted. The lighter was a gun? So when Detective Fulbright would touch his holster, that's right, whenever he mentioned the Earth emblem, he must have subconsciously thought about the secret behind the lighter. In other words, he knew it was a gun from the very beginning. A lighter that transforms into a gun seems like a spy gadget to me. It's not the kind of thing any ordinary person can get their hands on. In fact, I'd say it's strictly in the domain of elite spies. Detective Fulbright, you will explain yourself. There's nothing for me to explain. I didn't know the lighter could transform. I mean, it was found in the Space Museum, and then I brought it straight in. I didn't even have time to check it out.
Objection!
Whenever you mentioned the Earth emblem, you touched your holster. You subconsciously did that because you knew it was a gun. Accuse me all you want, but where's your proof? Yeah, that's not really... That is the limitations of using these, like, bracelets and, like, emotional things. I like how they're used. They've been using them in cases. Because they're used frequently, like, usually when Apollo uses the bracelet, he's usually, like, looking for something that he can back up with evidence. But this is a case where it's like, yeah, you can't prove that. And that's the limitations of it. And I do like that they've managed to keep it from being something where, like, you can just be like, aha, you did this, that means you're guilty. So I like that they were able to call out the limitations of it. Do you have any evidence that I knew the lighter was a gun? Not exactly. And whose prints are on it? Miss Sykes' prints? Proves that she's the culprit who fired the gun at the scene. It would appear that the detective is right. You guys really trying to prove your client innocent or what? Although it pains me to do this, now that we are where we are, I have to make the following assertions coming from the prosecution's side. The person who fired the gun at Director Cosmos in the lounge after the incident, and the person Miss Blackwell saw holding the lighter, and the person who murdered Mr. Terran, and the person who bombed the Space Center, are all the defendant, Athena Sykes. The prints on the lighter are decisive proof. No! Now do you see? A man on the side of justice couldn't possibly be the culprit. And I think this about sums up Miss Sykes' part in the whole affair. The evidence certainly does seem to point to the defendant's guilt. You have anything to say, Prosecutor Blackquill? Evidence is everything in court. Therefore, Fulbright's claims stand firm. But calm down, Apollo. He's just saying that because he has to as the prosecutor. Mr. Lawyer, our job is to pursue criminals in the name of justice. You shouldn't cast suspicion on people based on something as dubious as a habit. In fact, you have a bad habit of showing up in court with an awful case of bedhead.
Objection!
Says the man who wears sunglasses at night. It's proof you want, it's proof you'll get. I'll prove that this lighter is not Miss Sykes, but yours. Sounds like you've hit on something, Apollo. It's just, if the prints on the lighter are the basis for accusing Athena, I think we should reconsider the credibility of the evidence itself. You mean, you think this lighter might be forged evidence? That's right. It could all be part of Fulbright's bigger plot. Did he do anything out of the ordinary while I was off on my own? I can definitely think of a few things. Indeed. Have a look at this. Comparisons. Oh yeah, he was in this corridor. What was he doing? Just happened to have compiled the print data of everyone related to this. Yeah, he just happened to have Athena's print data. I'll always make another copy for myself, so it's all yours. Consider it a gift. If we assume he's been laying a big trap for us all along, there's got to be something off about this piece of evidence. What's wrong with the lighter as a piece of evidence? I wish we could look at it again. Wait a minute. How the prints were left on it, the owner. I don't think the owner of the prints is going to lead us anywhere. But where the prints aren't are actually a problem. Because if the gun was... Okay, so if it was used and it got blood all over... She got blood all over her hands, and that's why it's all over the lighter, then why aren't it all over the trigger of the gun when she pulled the trigger? Because if she switched it out, then she would have had to use it as a gun, she would have had to pull it with a bloody finger. So why would the blood not be on the trigger part of the gun, but on the lighter? Think not about where the prints are. No, I guess if it was fired as a gun, that's about where the prints would be, but there's got to be something off about this piece of it. Oh. I mean, there wouldn't be any blood on the trigger? How the prints were left... Okay. I guess there's the question of why does she have bloody fingerprints on it? Like, if she was holding the lighter with one hand and she had the knife in the other hand. Actually, that is a question. Why is there blood on the... Like... Because if she's already holding it with one hand, and the blood splattered onto it from stabbing the victim. So she stabs the victim with one hand, the blood splatters everywhere with the other onto the lighter. But if she's already holding the lighter, there shouldn't be any blood. Like, the blood should be around her fingerprints, not underneath them. I mean, I guess it's possible that, like, if she fumbled with it or something, but, like, that seems like a plausible idea. I don't think it's the owner of the prints, because there's really no way to determine, like, if they were just lighters that... I don't know where she would have gotten a lighter that turns into a gun. That seems weird. But if she's also responsible for the bombing, then the idea is that she's also a spy. So, I mean, I don't know that really... It's got to be this one, then. I don't see anything strange about how to... Okay. Definitely matched your print data. What about the dates? Oh! Wow, that's way more obvious. He's the one who put together the fingerprint data. So he could just say anything about whose prints they are. Detective Fulbright, you were the one who provided us with the lighter and print data. Isn't that correct? Yes, what about it? You say Ms. Sykes' prints match the print data. I have to wonder, was the data you used official? Mr. Wright, are you suggesting the evidence might have been fabricated? I guess there's only one way to find out. Let's re-examine the prints. Using the official sanctioned print data of the people involved in this case. What? You dare insult the epitome of justice integrity? There's no need for such antics.
Silence.
I mean, considering that he supplied the data, and he's the one being suspected, you kinda have to rerun the test, because otherwise, there's obvious bias for him to be like, oh yeah, it's Athena's prints, not mine. Very well then. Bailiff. Appears the official data's here. And the results? It's just as the defense claims. This proves the prints on the lighter do not belong to the defendant. Yeah. Yes. The fingerprints actually belong to the victim, Mr. Clay Tarrant. Huh. Clay Tarrant's fingerprints and blood on it. Those were Clay's fingerprints on the lighter? I see. Come to think of it. Wasn't it you, Fulbright, who collected the victim's prints? I personally removed his glove during the investigation. We had to get his fingerprints to confirm his identity, after all. When you took the deceased's fingerprints, you could have easily planted his prints on the lighter with his blood, after which you wiped the blood off of his hand. Yeah. By your own admission, you were also the one who compiled the phony print data, all to put the blame on Miss Sykes. Not looking good, buddy. That was a good move. If Phoenix hadn't realized that it was the print data was fake, of course. Floyd must have been distracted from the Phantom who was behind everything. You were out to create the impression that the Phantom wasn't the true culprit. So does this mean Detective Fulbright really is the Phantom? Remember the killer's escape route. No ordinary person would have been fearless enough to attempt it. Nobody but the Phantom, the man with no emotions, could have done it. Yeah, but I mean, he is kind of showing emotions right now. Detective Fulbright, you were the only one who could have used that escape route. Yeah, Fulbright, are you really the Phantom? Answer me, or so help me I will slash you to tiny slivers where you stand. Yeah. Alright, I'll talk. I confess. I'm not the Phantom.
Silence.
It's all over. Now be a man and admit it already. But I'm not a spy. I'm an undercover investigator. I've actually been after the Phantom myself. Undercover investigator? That sounds less than wholesome to me. A person who hides his identity and secretly investigates in order to uncover information. And that's what you really are, Fulbright. That's right. I was working to track down the Phantom, but sadly, even though I was supposed to catch the spy ended up catching me. took my family hostage and forced me to cooperate with him. What?
Objection!
You're telling us this now? But what if what you say is true, then? Who was the mystery person Miss Blackwell and Mr. Starbuck saw? The Phantom, I tell you. All I did was help him by having that emergency ladder lowered for him.
Objection!
I don't believe you. Then how do you explain the fabricated lighter? That was also one of the Phantom's demands. Being the detective in charge of the case, it was easy for me to fabricate evidence. Pinning the crime on Athena Sykes was just another one of the Phantom's orders. And you expect me to buy that? Fulbright, what was the Phantom's ultimate objective? I was told it was to sabotage the rocket launch. Someone who didn't want the launch to happen must have given him the order. Actually, I have to apologize to you too. The Phantom told me to get close to you. He ordered me to get back that psych profile you have on him. So, he sent a buzzard of his own to tail me this past year, did he? I haven't been a champion of justice. I've just been a pawn of evil. A pawn of the Phantom who stole the moon rock and killed Dr. Sykes 7 years ago. Enough, Fulbright. Just tell us the Phantom's true identity. I don't know. He's very careful to hide it. He has top-secret information for all kinds of corporations and countries. So there's a number of organizations that want him dead. If people believed I was the Phantom, I could be killed on the spot. Why, I bet even now. There are assassins lurking nearby. This case is about the Phantom, after all. The ceiling blown off. I suppose you are vulnerable to a sniper's shot in this courtroom. Just 2 seconds ago, Fulbright was treating Athena like a criminal. Does he really think he's going to lie his way out of it now? On the surface, everything does seem to make sense. This could be bad, Mr. Wright, if we can't find a flaw in his logic. He's right. After we've come all this way, we can't let Fulbright wiggle free now. There, I finally told the truth. Now I hope you see how foolish it was to think I was the Phantom. Oh, he's getting serious. You're an intelligent man, Prosecutor Blackwell. You believe me, right? I believe you. I don't think you're the Phantom. What? How can you say that, Prosecutor Blackwell? It's obvious he's the Phantom.
Silence!
Evidence is everything, right, Dono? And you must admit there's no clear evidence that Fulbright is the Phantom. Yeah. Yes, as I recall, the only solid proof we've seen up to this point is the fact that Detective Fulbright fabricated evidence. But... I've known Fulbright here for a year now. And all this time he's been quite intent on rehabilitating me. I don't believe his efforts were a lie. Prosecutor Blackwell! This fool truly thought he could reform a death row inmate like me. He went so out of his way in his efforts for me, he actually became quite a nuisance, really. Prosecutor Blackwell, you believe me! Please tell me Prosecutor Blackwell hasn't really been taken in by this big phony. I mean... evidence is everything, and as bad as this looks for him, if we can't prove it, technically it is possible that he's telling the truth. However, even if it was against your will, you still acted as the Phantom's accomplice. You will have to pay the price for that. Throw yourself at my mercy. Don't you ever betray me again. Have you got that? Yes. Thank you. Oh, thank you. Such a bond of trust is a rare and beautiful thing. In any case, it looks like everything has been resolved. I can now hand down a not guilty verdict with confidence. Ha 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 ha! Very good. I'm very glad to hear it. It's all over. Everything's been cleared up, and Miss Sykes will go free as well. Mr. Wright, we can't let the trial end here. If we do, the Phantom, the man who killed Clay, will get away. I know, but... what do I do? I don't have any proof that Detective Fulbright is the Phantom. Is this it? Is he going to get away just like that? Now, if you'll excuse me, my next investigation awaits. And with that, I'm off. The defense... No, wait. Not the defense. The defendant feels it's not time for a verdict yet and would like to see this trial continue. What? I was just about to declare you innocent of all charges. It just doesn't feel right to be standing here. Hey, Apollo, think you could scooch over? Athena, what are you doing? Hope we don't get held in contempt of court. I have some questions for you, Detective Fulbright. Are you relieved that you are no longer under suspicion of being the Phantom? Are you grateful to Prosecutor Blackwell for what he's done for you? Of course I am, and I'm truly grateful from the bottom of my heart. Athena, where are you going with these questions? I have yet to hear a single emotion behind any of Detective Fulbright's words, boss. The suspicion against him has been cleared up, but he's not feeling happy at all. What? Does that mean... we may not have any evidence. But the heart doesn't lie. That's it. With your special ability, we just might be able to stop him. Your Honor, the detective has been deeply traumatized by our accusations. Yes, well, even before all this, I thought he was a rather odd fellow. If he doesn't get counseling right away, who knows what might happen to him? Oh! Prosecutor Blackwell, can you believe the nonsense the defense is spouting? Fulbright, I think you'd better have that counseling. Not you too. You've been making batty remarks ever since you were accused of being the Phantom. Such as, you're an undercover investigator, and your family has been taken hostage. I fear you might have finally lost it. But I thought you believed me.
Silence.
Oh, how you amuse me so. What's going on here? That was an excellent bit of psychological manipulation just now, Simon. I knew you would catch on, Athena. Huh? Mind filling me in here? Hehe, guess we left you in the dust, huh, Mr. Wright? Simon was only pretending to believe Detective Fulbright, because he knew I'd notice if there was a lack of emotions like joy or relief in his response. So he gave me the chance to take a listen. And listen I did to the voice of Detective Fulbright's heart. What? You two were working together just now? Come now, Athena. Show us what's inside Fulbright's heart. You got it. Time to check the instant replay. Widget, mon ami, let's do this. I mean, how is this going to even work on this guy? He has no emotions. He's just going to be blank all the time. You're leaving me in, Prosecutor Blackwell. I'm an undercover investigator, but the Phantom was coercing me. He stole the moon rock and killed Dr. Sykes 7 years ago. I'm a bad, bad person for cooperating with such a man. But he took my family hostage. What else could I do? Yeah, there's literally nothing to evaluate here. Well, there were top expressions and gestures, he's registering no emotion at all. It's just like I thought, and right in line with the Phantom's psych profile. Detective Fulbright, this lack of emotion proves you're the Phantom. Hey, what's going on? Wait, hold it. What do you think you're doing, Detective? Me? I'm not doing anything. He's trying to hack into the Moon Matrix program. I can't do anything with it like this. Okay, this just got wacky, but I like it. Yeah. Fancy device you have there, but I'll tolerate no cheating, thank you. Sorry about that. As an undercover agent, I tend to use my secret arsenal without even thinking. More like as a spy. Thanks, Prosecutor Blackwell. There, now that you can't hack me anymore, I dare you to try to hide your lack of emotions from us. Hahaha, lack of emotion? What are you talking about? Of course I have feelings. As a matter of fact, you've wounded me very deeply with that accusation. What's going on? All of a sudden, I'm getting an overwhelmingly happy reading. But he's literally crying us a river over there. Oops, my mistake. How about this? Grah! Nice, now he's angry all of a sudden? What's he trying to pull? Like as not, it would appear our friend is not completely without emotion. It's just as it says in Dr. Sykes' profile of the Phantom. The subject has a unique psychological makeup with almost no emotional fluctuation. Oh, I get it. So he has some emotions, right? Precisely, which leads me to wonder why you can't sense any emotions from him at all. I believe it's most likely because he is controlling his emotions. Very good, Prosecutor Blackwell. You are correct. It's the result of my daily training. Very important skill for us undercover investigators, you know. More like for us spies, seriously. But I wonder why he suddenly showed several strong emotions. Wait a minute. I think I know. I sense there's a feeling you're trying to hide with your exaggerated emotions, Detective. Hahaha, feeling I'm trying to hide? That's a good one. You're the ones who've been saying that I'm the Phantom because I don't have any emotions. I was just trying to show you the range of deep emotions I truly possess. Then you have no objections to me analyzing you, right? No, analyze away. But I will state it again, I am not the Phantom. And be forewarned that your analysis will have no effect. Because you're about to see what an undercover agent can really do. Me, the Phantom? No way. What on earth is happening? What is happening? Oh, I'm so sad. See, I showed you I have emotions. How dare you accuse me of being someone who would kill over a moon rock? I do regret cooperating with the Phantom, of course. I'm so glad this whole misunderstanding is cleared up now. What is happening here? What the? How am I supposed to pick out what's unnatural from this mess? I don't know what we can do with this either. This must be his defenses against your ability. So you think this is what he meant by what he's really capable of? I need to know what's going on inside that guy's head. Oh, you know he's hiding something, and that he feels threatened by Athena. Being only human is true feelings, an emotion he can't completely conceal. Must be hidden somewhere in his testimony. Hold on. Okay, they're all at all levels on this one. I found it. I found the one emotion you're truly feeling. What? In the middle of that chaotic storm, I saw one emotion that never disappeared. You talked about the moon rock. You felt a fear that wouldn't fade. Fear? Huh? A fear that a man with hardly any emotions feels, huh? And it was a response to that moon rock. Detective Fulbright, I presume you feel fear concerning the moon rock because... He didn't fail. I don't think he failed to steal it. I don't think he lost it. Of course. That's it. Now, Fulbright, just tell us the Phantom's true identity. I don't know. He's very careful to hide it. He has top secret information for all kinds of corporations and countries. There's organizations that want him dead. The Phantom, it could be killed on the spot. Why bet even... Oh. Right, because he really doesn't want his... That's the one thing he has to protect is his real identity. Detective Fulbright, I think I know why you would feel afraid. You're afraid that the moon rock will somehow reveal your identity. If his identity were revealed, he would be killed immediately. It's certainly enough to make even the Phantom feel afraid. Me? Afraid? I don't know what you're talking about. So, there really is something about the moon rock that would reveal his identity. Apparently so. Wait a minute. Maybe the Phantom didn't so much steal the moon rock, but more like he had to take it with him, because there was something on it that would reveal his true identity.
Hold it!
Where do you think you're going? Me? I'm not going anywhere. Is it just me, or was he going to use that weird watch thing to try to get away? How many more of those toys does he have? And where can I get myself some? Detective Fulbright, you will answer honestly to this court right now. Why do you feel fear in connection with the moon rock? In justice we trust, not emotions, Mr. Lawyer. Evidence is everything. I'm the Phantom because I'm afraid? Don't make me laugh. What was that just now? All human beings have hearts and experience emotions. Sometimes analyzing a case from the psychological perspective is the best way to find the truth. Eek. It's all just a waste of time. All your efforts and analysis serve no purpose. And now, in this dark age of the law, nobody would believe your claim that it's effective. In an era when evidence is fabricated, do you truly expect feelings to be accepted as proof? And where exactly is your proof that I fear the moon rock anyway? Well, I admit I don't have any conventional proof, but I still say that examining a person's heart has its merits. Oh, really? Then why don't you listen carefully with those special ears of yours? Listen to the voices of the hearts of the people in the gallery. All I hear is distrust. As you can see, the people are on my side, because all they see is a strange little girl using a weird little machine. It's not like I use analytical psychology to falsely accuse people. Uh-oh, he's got Athena doubting herself. Miss Sykes' analytical psychology has breathed new life into the courtroom. It's freed the hearts of many witnesses and has been key in getting to the truth. What nonsense. Your Honor, the defense's claim is a false one. I don't feel any kind of fear when it comes to the moon rock. I see. Very well. I will give the opinion of this court. The trial, I don't feel that a person's emotions are quite as compelling as actual evidence is. But, Your Honor... Hee ha ha ha. There, you see? Nobody believes you in your trumped-up charges. However, I do believe Miss Sykes' analyses can contribute to making the truth clear. I've seen her do this firsthand several times already. Yeah, it's... People aren't perfect, logical, rational machines. And you can't just use psychological analysis to do something. But if you... And this is one of the reasons that I've liked the use of this in the story, is that mostly it's been used to help, quote-unquote, witnesses figure out, like, you know, like, oh, I had this fear, it caused me to see something I didn't see, or, you know, people don't always recall things correctly, even in, like, actual testimony, you know, people's memories are kind of, like, all screwed up, and they're generally not super reliable. So I thought it was kind of an interesting perspective to have this sort of thing that could, like, you know, approach that angle of, you know, witness testimony and reliability, but not necessarily be something that contributes, you know, hard, decisive evidence, because that always has to come afterwards to, you know, solidify whatever case is presented. Surely you jest. So does this mean you will accept my findings in this trial, Your Honor? I believe your claim, Miss Sykes. I think there is merit in examining why the witness feels fear in regard to the moon rock. That is the court's opinion on this matter. Yeah, see, like, it's something to look into, but you're gonna need proof to back it up. Like, it can't just be this. And that's a win for me. No, a win for analytical psychology. Now, Mr. Phantom, you will tell this court the reason for your fear. Analytical psychology? My fears? Fine. I'll show you precisely why those abstract things can't be considered evidence. I felt fear when I thought about the moon rock because it reminded me of the Phantom. Yes, I'm very afraid of him because he took my family hostage. What reason would the Phantom have to be afraid of the moon rock? None at all. So the very fact that I'm afraid of the moon rock means I'm not him. In fact, I'm on the side of justice. And there you have it. Now, do you see why I'm afraid of the moon rock? Sure, you sound convincing enough. But so does any two-bit con artist. It's all meaningless in the absence of evidence. The Phantom is like the mist. No flesh, no bones. My sword alone cannot cut it, right, Dono? With your deductive reasoning and the body of evidence before us, let us send this miserable Phantom fellow to the other world together. You and I, Prosecutor Blackwell, we have a duty to bring the Phantom down and restore the people's faith in the courts. Indeed, by covering for Athena, I allowed the Phantom to escape. As a prosecutor, I gave birth to the people's mistrust with my murder conviction. I bear part of the responsibility as well, for being suspected of forging evidence and losing my attorney's badge as a result. Two of us and the Phantom were there at the beginning of the dark age of the law. It is also our burden to cut away the foul specter we created, is it not? Until all that remains is the righteousness of the court and the faith of the people. Trust, understanding, fragile ideals of the masses who are controlled by emotion. Humans can't truly trust each other, which is exactly why the illusion of trust is so enticing.
Objection!
Once two people overcome their misgivings, that's where real trust is to be found. You're free to believe what you want, but trust like that is stronger than you and your lies, always.
Hold it!
I mean, this isn't it, but I'm gonna question it anyway. You're reminded of you, the Phantom? Don't make me laugh. You are the Phantom. Evidence is everything in a court of law. Or did you forget? I was forced to testify over a silly thing like feelings. But those tactics won't work from here on out. You need real evidence. I hate to admit it, but he's right. I'm very afraid of him because he took my family hostage. Your family? Like, who in your family, specifically? Oh, I don't know. Like, maybe my lover, for example. For example? Maybe? I need a more concrete answer than that. Maybe my mother, my son, or my daughter. Maybe it was all of them. I'm so sad and worried. I miss them so much. He's obviously lying. Look how upset I am. Is it any wonder I followed the Phantom's orders? This is... wow. Just straight up weird. The Phantom had to be afraid of the moon rock. This is the part that I think is going to be interesting. Can't think of a single reason the Phantom might be afraid of the rock. I thought the Phantom wasn't even supposed to have any feelings. Could someone like me, with my wealth of emotions, be expected to understand the guy? Phantom, a person with very few emotions, would only be afraid of something really big, like his cover getting blown big. I'm willing to bet that the moon rock has something to do with identity, but what? Maybe the Phantom's fingerprints are on the rock? Fingerprints can be wiped off. And maybe he wanted the rock so bad he literally drooled on it and left his DNA. We're dealing with a spy here, Athena, and not a slob. True. Maybe the DNA part isn't too far off. Huh? Something unexpected happened to him during the incident 7 years ago. Oh! He didn't take the rock because it was valuable. He took the rock because it had his blood on it. Continue my testimony while you're pondering that, if you don't mind. I mean, we'll do the rest of it, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is. How afraid are you exactly? So scared I start to shake even when I see the moon in the sky. Shake when you see Mrs. Sykes' earring? Well, to be honest, since the very first time I met Miss Sykes, I felt more than a little frightened of her. I guess some people just inspire that much fear in others. She is capable of, like, body slamming a police or judo tossing a police officer. Mr. Wright, you were thinking something mean-spirited and rude, weren't you? Of course not. Must beef up mind-reading defenses. Now you understand? The very fact that I'm afraid of the moon rock proves that... Yeah. I'm sure this is not going to result in anything helpful, but... What have you done? How dare you speak the word justice? Justice we trust. I'll say it as much as I want with absolute confidence. Whatever I say is just. That's how it works in this dark age of the law. You won't get the best of me with that twisted argument of his. Find a way to get him right where I want him. If Fulbright, or rather the Phantom, feels fear in regard to the moon rock, it probably has something to do with being afraid that his true identity will be revealed. Right, so that's why the Phantom had to take the moon rock with him 7 years ago. Yeah. I think I got it.
Objection!
Detective Fulbright, I assume you know what this is. Of course, that's the knife the Phantom used to kill Clay Terran. That's right. And the exact same type of knife Miss Sykes used 7 years ago when she stabbed the Phantom's hand. Yes, that was discussed earlier, as I recall. Right, he dodged at first, only got his clothes, but I tried again, got his hand. I mean, I could also just have him take that glove off. That would probably have a scar. It's my theory that the culprit's blood got on the moon rock. He was afraid that if the blood was analyzed, his true identity would be revealed. Yeah, and it's a lot harder, like... Depending on how porous it is, it might be difficult to just wash it off. Explains why the Phantom had to remove the moon rock from the crime scene. I mean, if we ran the analysis now, we'd know who the Phantom is. Yes, I suppose so. Unfortunately, the moon rock in question is missing. That may be so, but I'm certain I can explain what happened to it in great detail. You can? Of course. Not. You don't actually expect us to believe that, do you? Because you don't fool me. This court needs is a bully-free zone. The infamous sword of the beguiling bluff. Its edges without compare. Come now, ready it with me, and show us just how finely it cuts. Your Honor, this is an outrage. Oh, I mean, this is an outrage! Question mark? Yeah. Go on, right, Dono. Let's start with something that's been bothering me for a while. Now, the culprit supposedly removed the moon rock from the lab. But in this video of him, it's nowhere to be seen. Oh, you're right. But here's something to consider. What if the Phantom hid the moon rock somewhere at the scene of the crime? Good thinking, boss. Security was super tight at the Space Center back then. All that, in spite of the Space Center having very strict security, personal effects were examined thoroughly, coming or going. Couldn't even smuggle a withered old leaf through those checkpoints. Does this mean that the moon rock is still somewhere in the Space Center? In the name of justice, I proclaim that's impossible! And why is that? The Space Center was searched from top to bottom, especially the lab, but the moon rock was never found. How could I forget about that? Sad but true fact, we still haven't a grasp on how it was done. But the Phantom made the moon rock vanish into the ether. There's no way it just disappeared. Logic and evidence tells us otherwise. The Phantom didn't have the moon rock on him when he left the lab. Yet a thorough police search didn't turn up anything. And it never turned up in the 7 years after that either. The Phantom made the rock disappear without physically removing it himself. But how? There must have been a way. Think, Phoenix, think. Is it in the capsule? Wait! It's in the capsule! 7 years ago, it was launched into space and only returned to Earth a few days ago. That's why he had to get... It wasn't the second launch, it was that he had to get in to get the capsule back. Because hasn't the capsule also... No, it wasn't that the capsule disappeared. The capsule ended up being used as evidence, and it was blown up in courtroom number 4. I think we know what happened. Yes, I can, Your Honor. What? Oops, sorry. I mean... What? I do like that he has to take a couple... It's like, oh right, I have to show the correct emotion to go with the statement. In that case, let's have your answer, Mr. Wright. How did the Phantom make the moon rock disappear from the crime scene?
Take that!
That's the Hope capsule, right? The one that went up with the Hat 1 rocket. He couldn't carry the rock out, but he couldn't leave it in the center to be found either. So there was only one safe place to stash it. The Hope capsule that was there in the lab that day. Yes, and the team must have loaded onto the Hope space probe eventually, but if that's what happened, the moon rock would have been launched up into space along with the rocket. Preposterous. It would mean that for these past 7 years, the moon rock was... Exactly. The Phantom got rid of the moon rock in the most cosmic way he knew how. Because it hasn't been analyzed yet. So he had to get back and disrupt things before it could be analyzed, and use the Hat 2 launch as a distraction. With the Hope space probe. Yeah. Order in the court. I understand now. The Phantom's original scheme was to sabotage the Hat 1 anyway. The villain used his primary objective to conveniently kill 2 birds with 1 stone. That's right, he planned for the moon rock to be turned into cosmic dust out in space, thereby destroying the one piece of evidence that could reveal his true identity. But Mr. Starbuck and the others foiled the Phantom's plot. Right, that's why he was, well, there were multiple reasons for him to sabotage the Hat 1, but if he had managed to blow it up, then it would have destroyed his evidence. The Hope space probe sailed off safely on its mission, returned 7 years later. With the capsule in tow, with the evidence in tow. We analyzed the blood in the moon rock. It should make one thing crystal clear. That you were the Phantom all along, Detective Fulbright. So, he killed Clay just so he could get the moon rock back. I believe so. His original assignment may have been just to sabotage the Hat too, but... we have the... So did he take it? Or did he... sabotage the Hat too, but at the same time he also had to retrieve the evidence of his crime 7 years ago. That's why he went to the boarding lounge and attacked Clay as he made his... Right, because Clay had it. But in the end, it was all he could do just to escape himself so he didn't get the capsule. Clay must have done everything he could to stop Fulbright. He probably hung on to that capsule for all he was worth until his very last breath. Maybe at one point he was fighting with him and grabbed the lighter. He tried to shoot him, or I bet maybe he tried to shoot him originally, but he managed to get his hands on the lighter, and that's why Clay's fingerprints are on it. The shot hit and that's why the shot hit his oxygen tank instead. So then he had to resort to using the knife to stab him. Oh, this is so funny. You make me laugh. You really do. Boy, he's totally out of whack now. It's game over for you, Detective Fulbright. Why don't you just admit to it all now? There's nothing to admit. I'm Bobby Fulbright, undercover investigator, I tell you. Not the Phantom. The blood in the rock is just another one of his schemes, a trap. Now I'm not sure what to think. I suppose if the Phantom is a spy worth his salt, a trap is not out of the question. But in that case, you could say anything is a trap. That would make a trap. I've been framed into taking the blame for the Phantom. Your Honor, I believe further investigation is in order.
Silence!
Further investigation? More like plotting your escape. But no more. I will bring you to justice myself if I must. Here and now. I guess it's time to show you just what I'm really capable of. Die, Simon Blackwell. Hey, you guys aren't really... Looks like I made it just in time. Edgeworth. Good news for you, Mr. Wright. I've uncovered some very crucial facts. Did you find something out about the Phantom's true identity? You might say that. I started by looking at the first people on the scene 7 years ago. All three, an employee and 2 officers, were registered in the robot's recognition systems. But none of them looked the least bit like Detective Fulbright. That's not good. But there's more. I've yet to share my most important finding. Mr. Wright, Prosecutor Blackwell, you'd best brace yourselves. Uh-oh. The man you see there before you, Bobby Fulbright, is already long dead. Oh. Huh? What's that supposed to mean? An unidentified body that was found a year ago has now been proven to possess Bobby Fulbright's fingerprints. And does this mean... Yes, that man there is an imposter pretending to be Bobby Fulbright. An imposter? Then this man, where in the world is he? Enough of your trickery. If you will not reveal yourself to us, then I shall do it for you. What the? Oh, his face. Aw, look what you did to my mask. Mask? What is the meaning of this, witness? Okay, you got me. I guess I have to show you who I really am now. Wait, but that's... Hey, Apollo. Yep, it's me, Solomon Starbuck. It's just Starbuck, but that can't be right. You can't really be the Phantom, can you?
Silence.
Of course not. The real Starbuck was aboard the Hat 1, which was set to be destroyed. Yeah, this is just another mask. I mean, didn't I tell you? I'm an undercover investigator. I can change identities at will. I can be anyone I want.
Objection!
Not so fast. I have the Phantom Psych profile right here. We compile a Psych profile on you and compare the results. We'll prove that you're the Phantom. It's time for me to show you the real meaning of the phrase, "the end justifies the means." That voice, those words... The heck? I cannot accept such evidence here, Miss Sykes. Oh my god, this is wild. Professor Meads. Mask? I'll take what I want by any means necessary. Now give me that evidence. Huh? Time to take out the trash. Permanently. How could you? Now do you see how powerful the end justifies the means can be?
Silence.
How pathetic. You can't even speak without wearing another man's face. Ah, but that's the life of an undercover agent for you. My real face has no meaning or value to me at all. Or perhaps it is really the case that you don't even know who you are anymore. What must you see when you look in the mirror, Mr. Phantom? Not an awful lot, I'd wager. Well, aren't you just the master of psychology, Black Quill? That's right. I don't know who I am. I'm always living as someone else for my assignments. I don't remember what my face looks like. Or even what my personality was like. My face, memories, personality, beliefs, emotions, and soul, I left them all behind. I have no self. I am no one. I am nothing but an endless abyss. What's with this guy? Is he even still human? And now we resume with your lesson, Professor Wright. Oh, huh? I believe you made this argument earlier. If you were to analyze the blood on the moon rock, you could prove that I am the Phantom. I believe there was blood on the moon rock in that capsule. Now that we know you aren't even Bobby Fulbright, your claims of a Phantom trap won't work anymore. Then why don't you bring this moon rock in? This decisive evidence from the Hope capsule. I think I will do just that. Get ready, because the Hope capsule is about to seal your... fudge. The courtroom bombing, yep. I know where this is going. Looks like you have finally caught on. Full marks for the defense for effort. What a shame your hope was lost in that courtroom explosion. So that's the real reason this courtroom was blown up. It was all for the Phantom to destroy that one piece of evidence. I can't believe it. Have we really reached a dead end after coming all this way? The only evidence we have on this guy really been destroyed? How dare you continue to call me the Phantom? As I've said all along, I'm just a nameless undercover agent.
Objection!
And the defense will continue to assert that you are the Phantom. Furthermore, we have proof. Or at least a prayer. I'm afraid that won't do, Mr. Wright. At least put some weight behind your swing, right, Dono? I know, I'm trying. There's only one thing that can unmask this menace, the moon rock. That was blown to bits in the courtroom bombing. And yet, is it really gone without a trace? What if some tiny part, some little fragment still exists? Yes, and you can see the stolen moon rock there, too. Yup. Very well, Mr. Wright. Let's see your proof. What evidence will finally prove the Phantom's identity? 7K.
Take that!
Isn't that the bomb that blew up the courtroom, and the moon rock along with it? Are you saying this will reveal the Phantom's identity? Yes, Your Honor. Focus your attention on this photo taken after the bombing, specifically right here.
Take that!
Let's take a look at this newspaper article. This article about Hat 1. Now please note the strange black and yellow rock there on the left. That's the moon rock. And when we look at this photo of the bomb fragments, see how there's a rock-like object with the same coloration? Oh yeah, there might even be a blood stain on it. I see it. It would seem that the moon rock was much more durable than the Phantom thought. If we take a look at all the fragments the police found, we'll likely find one with blood. And DNA testing on that blood will prove that the witness is indeed the Phantom. Unbelievable. But that's impossible. A surprise to be sure. That's one bloody tough rock. Let's have the fragments tested straight away. Oh, and you'll be having a DNA test too, fool bright. Bailiff, contact the police department immediately and order the testing. Oh, the hawk brings in the papers. Prosecutor Blackwell, what do the test results show? There was a rock fragment that had blood on it that appeared to be several years old. DNA testing revealed. Well, I'm sure you know full well what it revealed. They confirmed it was the witness's blood, didn't they? There's no use in trying to talk your way out of it anymore. Admit it, you are the Phantom.
Objection!
Huh? Mr. Wright, did you just raise an objection to yourself? No, I didn't say a word. That was my objection, Apollo. Huh? Is he gonna... Oh no. It's Phoenix Wright. Why? It was a pretty good objection, too. Don't you think? Now he's me? So, did you have an objection or not, Mr. Wright? Huh? Oh, no, not really, Your Honor. No, not you, Mr. Wright. I mean the witness, Mr. Wright. Could this trial get any more insane? Mr. Wright, this fragment of rock in the photograph and those just like it. How can you be sure they're pieces of the same moon rock that was at the robotics lab? Care to explain what you mean? Well, there may have been a rock or two in the courtroom that had my blood on it. But how do you know they're not just rocks? You can't prove they're the moon rock, right?
Objection!
Don't be absurd. Just compare the fragment with the rock in the newspaper article. Anybody can see they're the same. They have the exact same coloration.
Objection!
But maybe some other rock with the same coloration happened to be in the courtroom. It's highly unlikely a rock with such a unique appearance just happened to be here. But you can't deny it's a possibility.
Objection!
But your blood was found on one of the fragments. Apollo, there's nothing suspicious about my blood being on a piece of rock. Then why not? I know it sounds like an excuse, but... Several years ago, I tripped and fell in this very courtroom. This hurt pretty badly. Maybe that's how my blood found its way onto a piece of rubble. And he must realize how ridiculous that sounds. And yet, I suppose it's not completely out of the question. I see you're starting to sweat, Mr. Wright. I thought the worst of times are when lawyers have to force their biggest smiles. Wow. The last person I want to hear that from. Well, then why don't we get those fragments analyzed? We could ask an expert to verify if they were from the moon rock in the robotics lab or not. I'm sorry, but I'm afraid that just isn't going to be possible. Why not? In order to prove that the fragments are from what you say they are from, you need a sample of the moon rock from 7 years ago to compare it with. But that moon rock doesn't exist anymore, and there's no sample data left either. So you see, short of going back in time, There's no way to prove that any of the fragments are from that moon rock. Oh, no! There's really no way to prove it. Oh, right. Of course. Finally ready to throw in the towel?
Objection!
The real Phoenix Wright. So the moon rock doesn't exist anymore, huh? That's right. Such a valuable rock, too. A shame, really. But it's lost to us forever. He's wrong. It's not completely lost. There's another piece of it, right here by our side. A shining fragment of hope that can turn everything around. The final piece of evidence to put this phantom away for good. The defense has a piece of evidence that completely contradicts your claim. You have what now? A final fragment of hope that was passed down with great love and care. We do? We do, even if the person holding it hasn't realized it yet. Is this true, Mr. Wright? Pay no attention to him, Your Honor. He's just bluffing as usual. I wonder if you'll be able to force your biggest smile when you see what I've got. Try me. Piece of evidence that shows the original moon rock isn't completely lost. It's right here. Mm-hmm. Athena, you may not know it, but your mother left you with a very important piece of evidence. She did? You're bluffing. You don't have anything of the kind. Oh, but we do. Evidence that will finally corner you. Because we have a moon rock of our own. Yeah. Oh. You mean... Exactly. A gift Dr. Sykes left her daughter. An item Athena has cherished and worn all these years. Distant as Miss Dr. Sykes may have seemed to her daughter, that fragment of her love will shake off the darkness of the past and give us all hope for the future. This is the defense's sample of moon rock. That's your sample? This earring that Miss Sykes always wears was made from that original moon rock. What? All this time? It was right here all along? No. It can't be. The composition of the bomb fragments in the earring are found to be a match. Then it will prove beyond the shadow of a doubt the origin of the fragment in this photo. And since the test results showed that the blood on the fragments was yours, this means that the identity you tried so hard to hide will finally be revealed. The identity I tried to hide? I don't have an identity to hide. I may not have Athena's ears, but now even I can hear the fear in your voice. Fear? I don't feel fear. I left all of my emotions behind years ago. Every human being feels fear. You simply can't face the emotions inside you. You can't face them because you have nothing. No love, no trust. And I suppose you do? I didn't have anybody to support me at first either. I couldn't face the fear inside me, couldn't get over the trauma of my past. Like I said, I don't feel fear.
Objection!
Then you're just a coward for running away from yourself. When I had my doubts about Miss Sykes, I felt like I would collapse under the weight. But I wanted to trust her. And I knew I could trust Mr. Wright to uncover the truth. That's why I was able to face my suspicions without hesitation. Running away from myself? How can I run from myself? When there's nothing inside. Nothing at all.
Objection!
I know it's hard for someone as unwilling to trust others as you to understand. But people have emotions. It's just a fact of life, and so people can be weak at times. But that's exactly why people need to trust one another, so they can gain the strength to face themselves when things are at their bleakest. Without trust in others, how can you ever hope to face your fears? The fear inside of me? Is this... No. Ah! Ah! I'm afraid. I'm scared. Ah! I feel fear. You can't outrun yourself. Remove that mask and unleash your emotions. Confront your guilt head on. With your own true face. My own true face? No, please don't. I know you're here. Where are you? See? I haven't revealed anything yet. Honest. Ah! My own true face. I don't have one. My face. My face. Is this my face? Is it? Is it? No, that's not it. No. This isn't me either. Ah, is this me? Which one is my face? What am I? Who am I? Did he just get shot? Or is that symbolic? Oh, yeah. Sniper attack in this very courtroom. Chills me to my bones. The police are doing everything they can to track down the sniper as we speak. Prosecutor Blackwell, how is Detective Fulbright? I mean, his imposter doing? He's a lucky fellow. The bullet didn't hit any vital organs. He appears to be in no danger of dying. Well, that was fortunate for all of us. The analysis of that final piece of evidence Wright Dono submitted is in. The composition of his Sykes earring and the fragment with the blood on it match. We can now be certain that it is a fragment of the moon rock in question. The murders and bombings at the Space Center, both past and present. The bombing of courtroom number 4, and all of his other crimes, as numerous as the stars. Under suspicion of all of these things, the spy known as the Phantom has been incarcerated. The prosecutor's office is now responsible for his well-being. There are still a myriad of things we wish him to tell us about, after all. Thank you, Prosecutor Blackwell. Oh, it's time to finally bring this trial to an end. But before I do, will the defendant please return to her proper place? Yes, Your Honor. Now then, this court finds the defendant, Athena Sykes, not guilty. Okay, seriously, where's that confetti coming from? Is there somebody up on the ceiling throwing it down now? Court is adjourned. Congratulations, Mr. Nick. Thank you, Pearls, and thank you for being there for Athena. It's the least I could do. But Athena was great, wasn't she? She was so strong throughout the whole trial. Daddy, I'm so glad to see you. Trucy, are you alright? You hurt? I'm fine, Daddy. Is doing magic tricks for the other hostages to keep our spirits up. That's our trucy for you. Really glad to see you're safe. Right? I fear I owe you yet another debt of gratitude. Edgeworth. We never would have caught him if it weren't for all of you. Aw, come on, Edgeworth. What are you talking about? You're the ones who have been tracking the Phantom all this time. Plus, you were the one who gave Blackwell permission to serve as prosecutor, right? Yes, well, we knew the Phantom was somewhere nearby. Police and I were trying to find him, but we never did manage to do so until this trial. Well, we never would have won this trial without you. It was your help as chief prosecutor that was the key to a successful conclusion. Besides, it was you that saw to it I got my attorney's badge back, wasn't it? So you figured it out, did you? Yeah, getting my license back went just a little too smoothly, you know. Should have been much harder after that evidence forging scandal. Well, I owed you a few favors. Hey, Edgeworth, think we can finally bring the Dark Age of the Law to an end? Even the darkest night turns to dawn eventually. Our sun will rise again. Besides, now that Prosecutor Blackwell has been cleared of all charges, a great deal of the mistrust towards the court system should have been swept away. You know, you could have said that with a bigger smile, Edgeworth. It won't kill you. Instead, the furrows in that brow of yours just keep getting deeper and deeper. So I should smile more, huh? I'll think about it. Ah, the complicated love-hate relationship between lifelong rivals. Athena. I'm forever in your debt. You went to all that trouble, even taking the bar exam while you were overseas. Well, I knew that if I didn't get your sentence overturned fast, you'd be executed. So I studied and studied. I was frantic. I'm so glad I made it in time. Just barely. But I still made it. Aww. Atta girl, Athena. It's good to see you finally let your tears out. Yes, I survived by the skin of my teeth, thanks to you. Shame on you, Simon, trying to throw your life away like that. It was never my intention to just throw my life away. Some things in this world are more important than your own life. Like what? My honor-bound duty to protect with my life. My mentor's most beloved treasure. Huh? That's some loyalty. This guy really is a samurai through and through. Well, looks like we can breathe easy now. Apollo, Athena, thank you both. Took all of us together to pull it off. You bet, boss. What a team we are, huh? It's definitely the most amazing turnabout I've ever seen. I'm a lucky guy. My office has the best, most capable lawyers around. Thanks, Mr. Wright. I'm going to work extra hard to make up for all the worry I caused. Apollo Justice is fine and ready to go. Let's hear it for the Wright Anything Agency. Well, nobody's going to try harder than me, so you better watch out, Apollo. Simon's free thanks to Mr. Wright. But there are so many more people out there who need our help. You're right, and I'll be needing you both to help them. Still have a long way to go. Get ready, you two. We won a major victory, but the war is far from over. There are still people out there suffering under false charges who need defending. We've got a lot of work ahead of us. If we ever hope to fully bring the Dark Age of the Law to a close. Hey, I know one thing we have to do. We have to celebrate with a bowl of piping hot noodles. Huh? Nothing like a bowl of Eldoon's noodles after a trial, all on Mr. Wright's tab. That's how it works at the Wright Anything Agency, right, Mr. Wright? Huh? As a boss, it's your duty to express gratitude to your people for their great work. In that case, allow me to join in the festivities. I would greatly welcome a bowl of noodles. I have an idea, Daddy. Why don't you just invite everybody involved with the case? The more the merrier, right? Oh, Mr. Nick, look how far you've come. Who knew you'd grow up to be such a generous gentleman? Guys, under these circumstances, there's only one thing I can say. Only if I get to join in. Hey, no fair. I want to say it too. Okay, here we go.
Objection!
I was trying to think of something nice I could do for Polly now that he's back. So I decided to go around and get a bunch of jobs for him to do. Find a lost cat, install an air conditioner, give a computer lesson, find a lost item. You think I should have found a few legal cases? Nah, that's okay. This is the Write Anything agency after all. That was good. Athena and Apollo were so wonderful in court. I better study as much as I can if I want to be a judge someday. My grandma says, eat lots of peppers and they'll ignite your passion. Oh, but I should figure out which to grow. Green peppers or yellow peppers? Or maybe I should go with hot as the sun red peppers instead. The end of the dark age of the law, you say? Tisk tisk, how naive. Don't you know it's sometimes necessary to get a guilty verdict by any means possible? What, they're putting me under investigation? The chief prosecutor wants to see me? Eee. Always pain. Never changes. Been asked to debut the great masked wrestler Tenma Taro. He's scheduled to go up against the amazing Ninetales next, though. I don't know what to do. Fight to the finish with myself? Why don't you ask Mr. Demon Lawyer to be the amazing Ninetales too? That's not a bad idea. I bet he'd be all for it. Caw 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 caw. So, we are to meet as foes, are we, my little friend? The game definitely has its, like, wacky moments. Would you believe it? I'm Alderman of Ninetales Vale now. Pretty impressive, eh? Took over after Rex Cuby for the good of my beloved village. So what do you say? Would you like to make a little donation to help us out? Hey you, what do you think you're doing sneaking in the manor? Ah, the jig's up. Better make a run for it. No, he's still up to his old tricks. Thought I wanted to be an artist, but after seeing the amazing job Athena did, I started becoming genuinely interested in law, so now I'm studying for the bar exam. I'm going to prosecute Athena someday. You'll see. I'm studying my buns off too, but not for the bar exam. I'm going to pass the Themis entrance exam on my own merit this time. With a score of 100 points, of course. Phew, Juniper, our dream will live on forever. I found really sweet boxes for all three of them, but they won't wear them. Is it because I want to be a legal journalist instead of a lawyer or a judge? But anyway, thanks to the trial, the school newspaper's future is as bright as can be. Now, let's see what the fresh blood have to say in the new school paper. Our editor cried so hard at graduation rehearsal, her cardboard box got soggy. The one-night-only reunion concert. I still remember that evening of passion. President of the student council saying like no high school student I've ever heard. She's a judge in her own court someday. I'd love to have a jam session with her. It'd be the coolest trial ever, yeah? I can already hear it now. Gave this place a good cleaning from top to bottom, but it's already a mess again. I guess the only thing I can do now is clean up the attitudes of the people in this office. Mystic Maya due to come here once her training is over simply must be done. Humanity's dreams for outer space will never die. In fact, planning for the HAT-3 rocket has already officially begun. Look upon me, people of this great nation, and witness the glory of Yuri Cosmos. What do you... Oh, Director. Yes, yes. Rocket preparations are fully complete. Yes. You should leave everything to me. Assistant Director Yuri Cosmos. He's assistant director now. I'm going to the moon in the new rocket. If Athena or Mommy Metis came to the moon, I would love to show them around. But which is more interesting? Montes Pyrenees or the Mare Tranquilla? Nah, I don't know. I think they would like either one. Yay, hooray! I wonder how Miss Aura is doing. I'd rather be near Miss Aura than on the moon. Oh, Miss Aura, I just want you to use me. Robots. Ready for launch. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Liftoff. Going to the moon for real this time, for me and for Clay. Thanks to my lawyers, now I know I should never give up. But I'm worried. You can't breathe in space, and in fact it's cold as heck. Oh man, now I'm getting really nervous. One more sigh for the road. No, I'm not employed here. I simply came to request their services in defense of my sister. But no one's around, and I've been kept waiting for a long time. What sort of case brings you here? No, your father was accused and you wish for Athena to defend him? Perhaps he and I shall meet in the courtroom in the near future. Look forward to your next month's salary assessment. Eee, please forgive me. Blackwell's acquittal has brought all manner of ills in the prosecutor's office to light. It seems solving that case has thawed the chill of winter into the warmth of spring. Now I write yet another debt of gratitude. I will repay him one day. You can trust in that. But yeah, thinking about it, like I said, it's hard to judge the difference in vibes as the cases progressed over the series. I know I said this in Apollo Justice, it definitely feels like there's more of a wacky vibe to it, but I think it's not... Because, like, some of it is explainable, like, you know, the case with, like, the whole, like, stuff with the yokai and the masked wrestling and stuff, like, there was a lot going on, but, like, there was at least, it wasn't at least, like, completely, like, baseless, you know, like, there was some stuff involved in it, like, you know, obviously, you know, attracting tourism and that sort of thing, it's like, oh yeah, you're gonna put on a show, it's, you know, important for that sort of thing. Aw, look at those guys. And I think part of it might just be because of the whole, like, the 3D aspect of it. Because it's, like, I guess because it's, you get more details. It's more, it's not that it's, like, that much crazier, it's just more detailed, maybe. I don't know, it'd really have to, like, line them up to compare them, but I think overall, especially once we got in that last case, that the last two really, I think that really helped bring it into, you know, like, hey, you know, we still got this, you know, big story to put together, and that's always the big thing about these games is, you know, being able to take the fun of the cases and tie it into that overall story, and I think they did a really good job on this one. And I like the new gameplay mechanics. I thought they made good use of it without it, you know, being being a good place in where it was as part of it. So.
I'll be fine. I'll be fine. I'll be fine. I'll be fine.
T-minus 15 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Liftoff. Mr. Starbuck!
You'll be fine. Just believe in yourself.
The moon's closer than you think!
Thanks, guys. I wouldn't have made it back into space if it wasn't for you.
Oh, yeah!
All right.
Alright, one moment. Faith and hope and friendship can lift us up all towards the bright future. Alright, well, not tonight. I do have to get to bed. There is, I guess this is a bonus DLC case or something. I'm not sure what the deal with that is. We'll have to get to next time, but I do need to call it. It is super late. But hope you enjoyed this. We'll probably do that one before moving on to Spirit of Justice. So, might happen, I don't know, maybe sometime this weekend. We'll see what happens. But until then, I hope you enjoyed it. I do have to cut this short and get going. Cut this short, I just have to get going. Hope you all have a good night. Take care, and we'll see you next time.